So here we are, mere days until Christmas, and still new smartphones are landing on the doorstep of Techspert towers. Sacrilege! The baby Jesus would be absolutely filling his nappy in disgust. And this here snazzy wee chap is the Huawei Nova 13 Pro, boasting a clever dual aperture camera, just like that pricey Pura 70 Ultra. Except this bad boy starts from €549, so just about sneaks into that mid-range territory. Like just buy a ball hair. So let's whip it on out of the box, take you on a full-on tour of all the juiciest bits. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! I actually already took it out and set it up and everything yesterday. Took it out on the lash with me. If you couldn't already tell, head is slightly tender this morning. So what else do you get in the box? Well, you've got yourself a condom case to keep your Huawei Nova 13 Pro looking pristine. And you've got yourself a Type-C to Type-C USB cable, and that's it. Apparently some markets will get a charger stuffed in the box, but not all of them, clearly. And that's your lot, nice and easy. So the Huawei Nova 13 Pro is a 6.76-inch smartphone, although it doesn't feel that massive. As you can see, proper weenie bezels surrounding that display, so it pretty much fills the front end. And it's quite a skinny wee bugger as well. It actually feels really nice to clutch because unlike most of the smartphones these days, you've actually got curved edges rather than those crappy flat iPhone-esque ones. Alright, that is proper good, top-notch hand feel. It's still a hefty git, still weighs over 200 grams, but overall a very premium look and feel. One area where the Huawei Nova 13 Pro does resemble an iPhone is the massive floaty, turdy notch type thing. It's a proper dual selfie cam setup. If we flip this bad boy over, it's just as attractive from the rear, depending on your thoughts towards plaid, of course. Both the green and white models come with this rather distinctive design. As you can see there, the pattern actually morphs as you tilt the phone, depending on how the light strikes it. If you're not really a fan of that, well, you can also grab the Huawei Nova 13 Pro in black without that plaid finish. I quite like it though, and I'm rather fond of the design for the camera bump. It's an oval affair, not too massive. As you can see, it has Nova etched all around the rim. Got a matte finish for the back end, so it shouldn't get all smudgy. Huawei didn't actually specify what that arse end is constructed from, but the edging most definitely plastic, with a glossy vibe as well. So that probably will, unfortunately, get rather fingerprinty. Now, to actually unlock your Huawei Nova 13 Pro, you do have a basic optical fingerprint sensor stuck away near the bottom end of the screen, so it is a bit of a stretch, not the most comfortable in the world to use. I'd certainly prefer it more around here, but as you can see there, pretty responsive, not the fastest around, but does the job. And that is backed by a good bit of face unlock, which is, again, reasonably nippy. And then once you're in, you've got a good bit of EMUI 14.2. So as usual, zero Google action. This is a googly free zone. No Play Store, you got a good old app gallery instead. Sadly, nowhere near as well stocked as the Play Store. You got a few essential bits stuffed in here, and it is ever expanding. But yeah, I mean, these are the weekly top apps. Quite a eclectic bunch of random games. The new apps we love section doesn't appear to have been updated in many years. I mean, TikTok's been on there forever. But as always, if there's ever an app you can't find on there, you can always search for it using good old petal search. And this will bring up alternative APK options, the likes of APK Pure, for instance. So you can download and install these bad boys. But of course, you've got to be careful when downloading APKs. Thankfully, the likes of APK Pure, pretty good source. And the rest of EMUI, as always, you've got your apps drawer so you can tidy stuff away. There's no Google Discover feed, of course. You got the Huawei alternative. You got your notifications bar, which you unfortunately have to drag down from the very top. If you just swipe down from anywhere, it's the global search. You've also got your control panel, which is fully customizable. If you've got a home screen and style, you've got always on displays, which you can fully customize. Get rid of these sickeningly sweet sentiments and replace them with something a bit more appropriate. You've also got a selection of interactive themes if you're into a bit of all that. And you've also got Huawei's voice assistant, Celia. It's generally about as helpful as a condom machine in a nunnery. Hey Celia.
Hello there, how's it going?
I've been better.
You may check the search results I found online.
What's the best cure for a hangover? And it looks like my Huawei Nova 13 Pro comes with half a terabyte of storage, pretty generous for a mid-ranger, not expandable via any kind of memory card, but you do have space in that SIM tray for a pair of SIMs, although there's bugger all love for eSIMs here on the Nova, which is a bit of a shame if you are travelling. And then to really test out that 6.76-inch OLED display, let's dive on into Huawei Video. There's often a cornucopia of random shit. Got absolutely no idea who Sally Nugent is, but Huawei Video seems to like her a lot. Which free movie should we go for? They all look like absolute bangers. So it's a 2776 by 1224 pixel resolution display, so pretty crispy, if not quite as sharp as some rivals. It's an LTPO display as well, so refresh rate can go all the way down to 1 Hz and also be boosted to 120 Hz. And if you are sensitive to the flickering on OLED displays in low light situations, we've got 2160 Hz PWM dimming. That certainly seems to be more than bright enough for a bit of outdoors use as well, no issues there. And the Huawei Nova 13 Pro boasts a stereo speaker setup. So the Kindle Scribe, sounds posh, it's proper massive, and it'll absolutely murder your savings. Pretty respectable quality, as you'd expect from a phone that's this sort of price point. Pretty loud when you max out that volume, the clarity stays strong though. Bit of a bassy kick, not too shabby at all. Bugger all headphone jack, of course, you got the usual Bluetooth shenanigans. As for what's actually powering the Nova 13 Pro, well, Huawei is keeping stum on the chipset that's stuffed inside of here, but you can bet your favourite dangly bits that it's probably a Kirin, one of Huawei's very own chipsets, and talking about it always makes me very thirsty. Alright, so dived on into the app gallery. Let's find some banging new games from Huawei's own recommendations to test out the performance. Oh, I smell a bit of a lawsuit from this one. Alright, let's try a bit of Bus Driver Life. Christ, already with the ads. It's like a 12-year-old boy, he shouldn't be driving a bus. Is this still a game? What's going on? Objective, do what you want basically, I guess. Oh, hang on, I'm going the wrong way. Whoops. Probably shouldn't ram the police car. Oh, just done it again. Never mind. Can you actually do anything to these cops which will make them get out of their cars and arrest you? There's literally dead people in the road and they're not doing a damn thing about it. Alright, let's try Sakura High School Life. That is the best attack I've ever seen in any video game ever. Jetpack? Oh my god, I've got a jetpack! If only High School Life really was like this. This is amazing. Oh, Jesus. Okay, maybe not so much. Right, well, that's enough of that fun. The Huawei Nova 13 Pro has a 5,000 mAh battery crammed inside of that slender chassis. The battery drain doesn't seem too bad at all so far. Did start to drop quite quickly when I was gaming on this thing, but then those games probably not optimized. Otherwise, it's been a fairly slow trickle. You should comfortably get a full day of use out of a single charge of this bad boy. And speaking of charge, when you do run dry, you've got 100 watt wired charging on here. Although sadly no wireless charging support, which is a bit of a shame considering this is an upper mid-ranger. Alright kiddies, let's finish this slightly bleary-eyed unboxing with a squint at the old camera tech. And what you've got here is a 50 megapixel primary shooter with optical image stabilization and also a variable aperture, just like the Pura 70 Ultra. You'll have to dive into the aperture mode in order to take advantage of that. As you can see, you've got a virtual aperture and also the physical aperture. 4 separate stages here, f1.4 all the way up to f4. And by tapping these, you can widen the aperture or make it nice and narrow as well, depending on how much bokeh action you want and obviously the lighting conditions. So if you want a really nice portrait shot, for instance, you might want to swap down to f1.4. As you can see, just blurs the background nicely, helps your subject to stand out. In regular photo mode, doesn't look like you've got any aperture control. That's handled automatically on your behalf. As you can see there, you've also got an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter, and unlike many mid-rangers, you also have yourself a 12 megapixel telephoto shooter with equivalent 3 times optical zoom. And here's an example of that telephoto shooter in action, again last night. Apologies, my hands weren't particularly steady after several Christmas shandies. And around the front end of the Huawei Nova 13 Pro, you've got yourself a 60 megapixel selfie shooter with autofocus. As you can see there, a bit of eye autofocus action. 60 meg, that's too many megs when you're feeling as bleary-eyed and haggard as me. But of course, this does use a bit of pixel binning, so thankfully you don't get a 60 megapixel image. We'll definitely have to be beauty mode to the extreme today, I think. And that second camera is an 8 megapixel portrait cam with a 2x optical zoom. Even closer to the action, excellent. And this is why you shouldn't drink, kiddies. Anyway, there you have it, kiddies. A last minute, slightly rushed, very much hungover unboxing of the Huawei Nova 13 Pro. Quite an interesting mid-range mobile, quite the looker, that's for sure. I think the design is one of the best bits of this thing, and of course that smarty pants multi-aperture camera tech. But it'd be great to hear your thoughts on the Huawei Nova 13 Pro down in the comments. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. I think there's only a couple more phones to cover before I can finally face plant my mattress and just sleep through the whole of Christmas. And have yourself a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you.